to another episode of Gardening with Jason. Today we're going to be talking about trees. If you watched my previous videos, you will know I've inherited a plot with an apple tree which is behind me, plum tree on the other side, and over there we have two pears and a fallen apple tree. So I've got quite a good plot here and we've got quite established trees, and what I want to talk about today is how you care for your trees, what you need to do to look after them, and some maintenance tips for winter. Now the first tree we're going to look at is this apple tree here. This is a good tree, it's well established, it is very productive, but let's just go up and have a look at it. Now it's a little I think there's a blue tit up in the tree there actually, but you can see, look at the shape of it. You can see the shape originally, but it's not been kept very well for a couple of years. No one's really pruned it back, and you can see that down here you've got branches that come quite far down. These I might trim back a little bit, but that's purely because I keep poking myself in the eye with them, and sooner or later I'm going to have an accident. But you can see these upright branches, like you can see that one there, that one going up. They're called sort of water shoots, and they tend to appear when the tree's been severely pruned, and then it shoots up this new growth, and you can see loads and loads of it all across the top up there. Now what I need to do is I need to get this tree under control, because unfortunately it has grown out of control. A lot of this up here now is way too big. I'm not going to be able to reach that very easily in order to harvest the apples, so I need to control the tree. So what's going to happen is it's going to get a haircut all the way across the top to try and encourage decent growth. What I want to do as well is remove sort of crossing branches. You want to sort of open your tree up so it's like a goblet shape inside, so you've got plenty of room for airflow. But where branches are rubbing and crossing, you want to get rid of them, or get rid of one of the branches, purely so that you don't introduce diseases. Where branches rub, that can create a disease, let disease in, because it damages the tree. So you can see there's a lot of work to be done on this tree, but all I'm going to do this year is trim the top off, because if you trim back a tree too harshly, then it will suffer the following year, and it will cause it a lot of problems. Let's see if we can just, I don't know whether the camera will adjust. You can just about see, I've got a little visitor there. I think it's a blue tit or something. I can't quite see because the camera won't adjust, but there's plenty of little birds flying around, and I put up some bird feeders for them, purely, again, sorry for sidetracking, purely because some of the birds can be quite handy in getting rid of pests off your garden. So I've got seeds, and there's some suet balls up there, so I'm going to put a couple more feeders up as well for them. But now back to the plot at hand. I do apologise for being distracted, but it's lovely seeing all the little birds. There's one, I don't know if you can see him, they're quite tame. There's one just on there having a feed. So now's a really good time to start pruning some of your trees. The apple and pear trees are best pruned in the winter months, when they've gone dormant. You can see all the leaves have dropped, the sap's gone down, the tree's sort of pretty much asleep for winter. So what I'm going to do is, as I said, I'm going to be up the tree. It involves some gymnastics on my part, I'm suspecting, but I want to clear and open up the tree. I want to get rid of these water shoots. So that's one of the jobs we need to do. Now if we go around here, this is one of my pear trees, and you can see I have already started on this one. I've given it a bit of a prune. I haven't done all of them yet because it started throwing it down on me, but I've taken the tops off a lot of those branches to encourage it to bulk out. What I have also done is I've removed a lot of the crossing branches. You can see, like this branch here, it's probably alright, but it's a bit close to this thicker branch. So again, we'll see about that. But I've taken a lot of the shoots off. Now if we come down here, you can see there's these shoots here which are going to grow up the middle of the tree. So I want to take these out so that and get good airflow around the tree. One thing this tree did have, and this is a branch that will go, is it had some suckers coming up from underneath the root graft. Now you will want to remove those because they're not the fruiting tree, they're whatever the rootstock is. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Now over here, this is another pear tree, and you can see it's a bit wild. So again, similar with this, I want to take some of the top off to get it under control, but I need to thin these out. I mean, these branches are all over the place here, but some of them are dead. I don't know if you can see that there, but that's a dead branch. Some of these branches, there you are actually, there's bits of them that are dead. So I need to go through and I need to work out which are all the dead bits of wood. See, again, just on the end here. Ooh. Just on the end here, some of this is dead as well. So I've got to try and get a lot of the dead wood off, but I need to thin this out because first, if I can get through here, you can see here's an example of crossing branches. You can see the two branches are very well intertwined there. There's more dead wood there. But you can see the branches are very intertwined. What will happen is, as it's windy, these branches will rub, which will damage the bark. Now the bark, obviously like our skin, protects the tree from disease. So what will happen over time is it will cause a wound, and that can introduce infection into the tree. So things like this need sorting out. And the other thing to think about, of course, is access to the fruit. When it's all higgledy-piggledy like this, it can be really, really difficult to get in and get the fruit out. So it just needs tidying up a bit, and some of these drooping branches down the bottom here, you can see some of them go down almost to the floor. They could do with being tidied up just so I can get under the tree and maintain it. But again, I can't prune too much because it will shock the tree. So I'm going to give it, this tree's going to get a haircut. So I'm going to go across the top, take out a lot of those, take out some of the height, so bushes. But what I want to do is I want to get rid of some of these crossing branches. But again, not going to be too vicious with it. But now's a good time to get on with that. You can also, let's have a break from trees for a second. Just come down here. Gooseberries. Again, now's a good time to prune your gooseberries. They've died back. Similar thing applies. You're trying to open up the inside, create a goblet shape so that it gets plenty of airflow and you don't get mould growing on it. So these, again, I've started pruning them a little. I've just moved them, so I haven't pruned them too heavily. I'll give them a bit of a prune in a sort of couple of months when they've more established. But this is the plum tree, and this is the one I particularly wanted to talk about. Now, plum trees you shouldn't really prune in winter. Again, you can see this has got loads and loads of water shoots. It's got loads of these branches, you know, like this one here, that's just coming up and going straight up. And again, these all need to come off because, again, beautiful plum tree, but it's out of control. I can't reach anything up there. That all needs to come down, and it needs opening up so that you don't end up with mould on your plums, which nobody wants really, do they? But again, you can see here, that look, this is going to rub on there, so that's going to cause problems. But the thing with the plum tree, any stone fruit trees, is you shouldn't you shouldn't prune them in the winter months because that can introduce disease into the plant. So this is going to have to wait till summer, and then I'll have to give it a prune. But what I did do, and you can do this in the winter months, is this had loads of runners, suckers coming out from the bottom from below the rootstock. Now most of those were full of had really wicked thorns on, which would suggest to me that this is actually from blackthorn or slow rootstock. I mean, the thorns are really, really wicked, and it's quite common for plums to be grafted onto slow rootstock. So if you've got these suckers, and you will find them on unkempt trees, they do come up from underneath the from the bottom of the tree, just cut them off, because they're taking energy away from the actual tree, and they're not going to be the tree you bought. They're going to produce a completely different type of fruit. Right, let's talk about another job that we can do or needs doing to your fruit trees in winter. This is particularly for apple and pear trees. It's a grease band. Basically, things like a codling moth will climb up your fruit tree in the winter, and basically they will then lay eggs in your fruit in the spring. So what you need to do is you need to protect your tree from them. The easiest way to do them is put on a grease band, and then you get this sort of metallic type string with it that you tie it on with. The thing with these as well is if you have an aphid infestation on your tree, and you see ants climbing up your tree to get to the aphids, they're not eating them, they're farming the aphids. They're encouraging the aphids to reproduce, because the ants like a nectar that is secreted by the aphids, and the ants will actually kill beneficial insects like ladybirds that eat the aphids. So what you need to do is you need to make sure that if you see that, get one of these on. It will stop the ants from getting up the tree. Now, one word of advice with these, that you basically open them up. You open it up, wrap it around the tree, and then tie it on with this. Now, my word of advice is to wear gloves. This, obviously, being grease, is sticky, and it's very sticky. It gets all over your hands, and it's just downright unpleasant. So from experience, I'd wear gloves when you're doing this. It makes your life an awful lot easier. And one final thing you can do with your fruit trees over winter is a fruit wash, winter tree wash. This is applied anytime from November to February on a calm, dry day. Is today dry? Might be. Hard to tell around here at the moment. But basically what this does is it just helps to clean the tree. I know that sounds a bit silly, but what it does is it gets rid of a lot of the pests that overwinter and cracks and crevices that you can't get out. So it just helps sort of the trees start the spring in a bit of a neater way. It just helps get rid of a lot of the pests. So it says on the back here, it's this one, and I bought this one particularly because it's a blend of natural oils and surfactants formulated to remove insect debris, dust, dirt, and the accumulation of wax and other substances they use to secure their eggs on plants. So it deprives insects of the opportunity of successfully depositing viable eggs on the plant. So fantastic, this is going to go on the tree. Make sure when you buy one that's suitable for edible plants, okay? Be very careful about that. What you will also need is, let's just put that down, a spray can. So I've got one of these, 5 litre, one with a wand, so I can reach up nice and high and I can get everything sprayed. And basically, that's all you need to do. Yes, it does sound like a lot of work, but it makes sure that your trees are basically healthy for the following year. Bugs will live on your trees and they will damage your crops. And if you find that you have a lot of problems with your plants, like you have bugs, worms in your apples, damage to your pears, or little worms in your plums, which, let's face it, is a bit off-putting to most people, then doing this will stop that from happening. So what my job for today is, and I'll show you when it's done, is I'm going to put a grease band on this tree and the 2 pear trees. The other apple tree, I don't think I showed you the other apple tree. Let me just show you the other apple tree. And this is the other apple tree, and you can see it's tipped over. So I'm going to have to try and straighten that up a little bit somehow. Not sure how yet, but I've got some stakes, so I'm going to have a go at just raising it up, and hopefully that is going to let me rescue that tree. But you can see just before we finish, I've dug this area over here, found quite a few potatoes, and I've done some hoeing over there just to keep the weeds down, and you know they are starting to take over. I've started as well, just to give you a little update on the plot, is I've started to separate out this sort of jungle here, because you've got raspberries growing in with gooseberries, and I've discovered that there's actually mature blackcurrant bushes in there. So I've got about another 12 at the top of the plot. Over there's about another 12 plants. So I'm going to be contacting my beaner to see if they want more blackcurrants at this rate. I've got loads and loads of them. But what I've been doing is I've been moving these, and I've been putting them on here. And you can see what I've been doing just to keep the weeds down is I've been putting weed membrane down. And basically where I'm planting things like this, I'm going to plant through weed membrane purely because it's going to reduce the amount of work I do. I want this plot to be low maintenance, like I've said before. So what my goal is to use a lot of the weed membrane. I'm going to cover it with wood chip. So I'm going to cover it with wood chip, and I'm going to sort of encourage the plants to grow where I want them to, rather than where they want to, because these are autumn fruiting raspberries, and they have a nasty habit of really spreading, as you can see from over here. So I've started the second row there with them, and I'm just going to keep going and try my best to clear this as much as I can, and sort of tidy up these rows here just to neaten things up. So yeah, it's looking good, but we're on trees today, so I'm going to get back now to this apple tree, and you can see I want to get the grease band on it, and just to protect it. It's a well-established tree, fruit's apparently really nice, so I want to try my best to look after it. Okay, you can see there I've put one of the grease bands on that tree, and then if we go over here, I put one on here as well and tied it on with the string. Now, unfortunately, I've run out of grease bands. The trees were a bit thicker than I thought, so I'm going to have to order some more and put it on the other two trees. But that's a start anyway, and it's going to help the trees take care of themselves and stop the codling moth and other insects climbing up and getting into it. And now again, I just wanted to show you here another good example. See this branch here? Look, you can see how that's rubbing just there. Look, you can see it's rubbing there, and then it's rubbing here as well. So while this branch is quite an established branch, you can see it is going to cause some issues, and this one is one that's growing up into the tree. So if it came out, that would obviously stop this branch getting damaged, and this branch is growing out away from the tree, whereas this is growing right up the middle. So this branch would be a very good candidate for getting rid of. So enough of talking about pruning, time to actually get on and do some of it. It's a good job to do now. Try and do it in between rain showers. Obviously the weather's not really our friend at this time of year, so get out as and when you can. Be careful, because obviously if you're using pruners and saws, things can go wrong. So just do me a favour and really watch your fingers. It's very easy to catch yourself with something, and just again watch out for falling branches and poking yourself with the branches as you're moving around the tree. Again, very easy to do, but it's a good job to get on with now. It's something that will keep you busy, and it'll help your fruit trees produce a good crop of fruit next year. So happy gardening. Let me know how you're getting on with your fruit trees, and I will look forward to talking to you again soon in another video.